ladies and gentlemen, Technology Concierge here. My name is Vincent, following up with some more content for you on the channel. Today I'm going to be going over a tutorial on basic installation of Windows 10. Now, it's going to be inside of a virtual machine, which I've already got pulled up here. That's why the box is a little bit funky. But I'm going to go through the basic steps for installing a clean copy of Windows 10 on a brand new hard drive. Now, this changes a little bit based on hardware configurations of this or that, but generally speaking, most of the steps in this video should be very similar, if not identical, to what you would see when you're actually booting live into Windows and installing it on a physical machine. The other reason I'm doing this is because in the process of doing this, I'm also going to explain some of the features that I will turn off. And in the next video, I will explain fully how to install certain applications that are designed to kind of help keep Windows a little bit more private than it is by turning off some of the built-in features that come standard with the system. So this video is all about privacy in Windows 10. Granted, that is only as good as you make it, but this video will hopefully help and provide some options to people for what kinds of things that you might want to turn off in Windows features, things that you do have access to, things that you don't natively have access to. So without further ado, let's get started. So once we boot into the installer, now if you're installing Windows for the first time, you're going to want something like a little flash drive, and you'll need a computer to download the ISO image from the Microsoft website. So you'd go to the Microsoft website. Let's see. We're going to just pull this up over here. I'm going to open up a tab real quick here, and we're going to go to www. Or actually, better yet, what you'll want to download is called the Windows Media Creation Tool, right? And I'll include this link in here. So the first link that you get when you search it on Google, right? Download Windows 10 disk image. Wait for the page to load, page to load, page to load. Anytime this century, please, and thank you. Okay, maybe not. Support. Okay, so that page loads. Okay, well, while that page is loading, I'm just going to show you this real quick. So in the downloads, right, I've downloaded the Media Creation Tool, right? That's what the file will look like. It's an executable. You'll open that file. You'll get a prompt that says something like, sorry about the black screen there, I needed admin privileges. You'll get a prompt that looks like this. And once it gets past this and you accept the license agreements, you'll have two options on the screen. The first option will be to install media, rather to upgrade the PC or to install media for a new or installation on a different computer. In this case, you choose new installation on a different computer, and then once you've done that, it will give you the option to burn it to a flash drive. So, right, see here, I click accept. It says getting a few things ready, and you burn it to a flash drive. The flash drive needs to be at least 8 gigabytes in size. After you've got that done, you can either boot from the flash drive, which will be a separate video, or you can download the ISO image and burn it to a disk, which I can also do a video on that. If you want a video on that, leave a comment in the below. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and X out of this because I don't need this, and I'll do a more in-depth video on that. Close that, close that. Anyway, back to this. So once you've gotten booted into the loader and the installer, you simply hit the next button. And then from here, click Install Now. It's going to go through setup. And what I'll probably do once we get past this next screen is I'll pause the video, right? So I have a product key, but I'm not going to go ahead and do that. It's important to note that if you're installing a new version on a machine that's already had it installed, you just need to sign into your Windows account. It's all tied to your hardware. If you don't, you'd need to get a product key or an activation, tie it to a Windows account in some way, shape, or form in order to activate it. But I'm just going to select I don't have a product key because I don't need it right now. And then here you get your options for selecting your methods. Select Pro. So regardless of what you do, it's basically going to be that. And then in this case, your two options here, you'll select, you can select install Windows, keep files, settings, and applications. We're not going to do that. We're going to do custom install. As you see here, I have a drive, 50 gigs. Just going to create new here, right there, hit apply, hit OK, and look at that, we've got our file. And now, as you can see down here, this, which was grayed out, the next button, is now ready to go. What we just did was format and partition the drive that we're going to install Windows on, or rather, the Windows setup did that for us. So we hit next, and it's going to go ahead and copy files, get files ready for installation, install features, updates, and then it'll finish up. So I'm gonna pause the video here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Vincent here with the Technology Concierge. We are back for the rest of this video. We've now gotten past our Windows main installation screen, and we're getting ready now to get everything set up. So as you see up at the top, we've got a screen that says Basics. Now, whether you're doing this inside a virtual machine or on a physical machine, this is going to be identical, as was basically the rest of the process behind it. So what you're seeing here, you should also see on the machine that you're installing this software on, or this operating system on. So I'm in the US, so I'm just going to hit yes there, and it's going to do its thing here. Keyboard layout, US. Now there's a bunch of different options. Select whatever you need. I need the US layout, so we'll click there and hit yes one more time. Want to add a second keyboard layout? No. So I'm going to hit skip. Okay. Now, it says we have some important setup to do, and that's your network setup. So what it's doing now is it's basically getting itself connected to the network, and now it's checking to see if there's any updates that it needs to apply from Windows. And next, we've got our Windows 10 license agreement. So if you haven't read this, I actually have read this license agreement. It's rather long. You don't have to read it. I recommend reading it, but we're going to need to hit accept anyway. So regardless of whether you read it or not, hit accept. Now, we have two options here. We can set this up for an organization, or we can set this up for personal use. For now, we're going to select set up for personal use. So we hit next there. Now, here's where it gets fun. We can sign in with Microsoft, or we can do an offline account. I don't want to sign in with my Microsoft account, so I'm just going to hit offline account. It wants me to sign in with Microsoft instead. I'm going to hit no. Who's going to use this PC? We're going to call it Technology Concierge. Now, this is your username. Next. Now, in this case, create a super memorable password. My password is going to be well, actually, let's make it simple. Oops, unlock. This is the virtual machine. I'm not entirely worried about the password. I recommend making a stronger password, uppercase letter, lowercase letter, and some kind of special character. And if you're afraid that you're going to forget it, write it down or find a safe place to keep it, because it is a pain in the butt. Now, when you're setting up with an offline account, you get these security questions, or if you're creating a new Microsoft account, you'll get these security questions. So question 1 of 3, pet's first name, dog. Question number 2, childhood nickname, dog. Obviously, I'm just going through this to explain it. I'm not actually trying to create. Realistically, you're going to want to select something and actually use. Name of the first school. Yeah. Name of the city your parents met. Dog. Next. So I've now created my 3 security questions, which basically are used if you need to recover a password. I've only ever seen it used for password recovery. So this is where we get into some of the security stuff. So activity history is a feature that allows you to go to basically creates a timeline inside your computer of what you've done, when and where, and it records it. And then you have access to using it when you're in the computer to go back to certain tasks. And it can be relatively effective for someone. But this does it across devices. So basically, if I have a device that's in one room and you have a device that's in another, and both accounts are signed into the same Microsoft system, anything that I do on that computer in one room will show up on the computer that you do in the other room on activity history. Um, so for privacy reasons, if they're your devices and you want to do that, that's fine. This is one of those things where I don't want any of my computers to sync. I'm gonna hit no. Uh, get help from a digital assistant. I'm gonna select decline. That's Cortana, basically the Windows version of Hey Siri or OK Google. Um, turn that. Sorry, I say OK and then the word, and my phone goes off. We hit decline there. Services. Now this is where some of the stuff about basics that I was telling you about when it comes to privacy. All of this, if you don't mind having all of this collected, right? Uses voice for dictation. No, because we're not using Cortana. Location. Get location-based experiences like directions and weather. Well, if you're on a desktop computer, you really don't need that, so no. Diagnostic data. I always, 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 always turn this to basic. I don't, when Microsoft does not need to know my computer specific diagnostics. If I have a problem, I will call Microsoft or send a message to their support team. Um, I don't, you don't need them picking up all your diagnostic information, your hardware information randomly and arbitrarily every time you run a scan. It's just not necessary. Find My Device. If you're on a mobile laptop or something, okay, Find My Device might be a good thing to have on. But on a desktop, I don't know anyone who's going to run into someone's house and steal a desktop. So I'm going to turn that off. Inking and typing. This is inking and typing data to improve language recognition. No reason to send that. Tailored experiences. I turn off tailored experiences not because it's a bad feature, but because it's obsessively obnoxious for me. Because I search so much and I get tired of having. This camera is following my hand, isn't it? I am very sorry about that. Anyway, so I turn off the tailored experiences. Advertising ID. I don't like Microsoft using my apps using advertising ID to provide more personalized advertising. I don't use that. If I'm in a shop, I'm going to go to a store, right? So basically what I've done here is turn all of these features off. So we hit accept. It's going to give us just a moment again. And it says, hi, we're getting everything ready for you. So once again, I'm going to pause this video, give it a few minutes, and then we'll come back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, back yet again with the Technology Concierge. Sorry if that took a little longer than expected. It is a virtual machine. It actually went fairly quickly, but we are now past that. After you get done with this screen, right, where we had this might take several minutes. Once that gets done, it's actually going to boot you right in to your environment here. So what we're going to do next is kind of in line with the other video that I posted about Ninite. I'm going to show you where to go again for Ninite, and this time I'm actually going to run it. And then after we do that, I'm going to download another tool called O&O Shut-up. And I'm going to explain why we're going to download that tool in just a minute. So the first thing that we need to do, right, let's just assume the web browser didn't open. So we'll close the web browser. And we're going to open up Microsoft Edge down at the bottom screen. It's pinned to our taskbar. We can click it. Right? And look at that. We got an address bar and a web bar. So we're going to hit that. Now, if we go to www.ninite.com, that's going to take us right over here. This is what I showed you. Now, if you're wondering why the screen's all janky, it's because I haven't installed certain features. I'm just using this for tutorial videos. You will probably want to install your machine-specific drivers if need be, and go from there. So I'm going to install the web browser Firefox, and we're going to do .NET, Silverlight, and Air. Actually, we'll skip .NET. You do want to actually install .NET, but because we're on a virtual machine, I'm just going to skip it. So we'll do WinRAR, and yeah, we'll call that good for now. So we're just gonna hit get our Ninite, and down here again we get this little thing that pops up. I'm gonna click run. It's gonna open up for me. Right, gonna give us this screen here. I'm gonna hit yes. Downloading Firefox. This is what's so cool about it, and it's installing Firefox. And if we click show details right here, it tells us what it's doing. It says Silverlight waiting to download, Air waiting to download, oh, waiting to install. All right, so it's downloaded all three of them. Now it's installing the programs for us. All I did was click a button. That's it, just one button, or well, a couple of buttons, but one button in the application, and it's doing it for me. Firefox is installed. Silverlight's installing. Now, you might ask, okay, why am I installing a web browser other than Microsoft Edge? Well, Firefox has a tendency to be a little bit more optimized for privacy, and I like privacy. So, you do have to go in and change settings in order to get that, and I'll explain that in other videos. Um, but I just think it's a nice browser. I think it works a little bit more stably than, or it is a little bit more stable than Microsoft Edge, personally. And again, browsers are preference. So we're going to go ahead and close out of this since those programs are now installed. I'm going to X out of Microsoft Edge. And here's Firefox for us. We're going to go ahead and click Firefox. Open Firefox. And hooray, we have Firefox. Now, this is where things get fun. Now, you don't have to do this. I'm going to go ahead and go to Google anyway. And we're going to look for, we're going to type download. O and O Shut-up 10. Here we go. Now I will include this link in the description below, but we're going to go ahead and click on that link, right? And you get this icon here and a download button. And this is the download button that we're going to hit. And you should see this screen. It should say OOSU10.exe. We're going to save that file. So now that file's saved, we're going to open up OS 10, and we're going to go to our downloads folder, right? So you hit this little arrow right here in Firefox, and then you hit the show folder icon. And that brings up your downloads. So we're going to open this, and I'm going to close Firefox here in just a moment. We're going to close Firefox. Now, this is where this is cool. All of these things in red, right? This is all data collection stuff that Microsoft builds in natively within their OS. Now, all of these things are currently enabled in the system. So let me just give you an idea of kind of what this means. There is literally a section in here. Where is it? Disable user steps recorder. You might wonder what a user steps recorder is. Basically, it basically records a copy of absolutely everything you do on the computer, which defeats the whole purpose of having a private system. We have the program open, right? We have O&O Shut-up open, and we go to actions right here, and those green check marks, these check marks are all things that O&O suggests that you turn off, right? So we're just going to hit apply recommended settings. Now, the first thing it's going to do is create a system restore point. Don't panic, that's actually a good thing. The system restore point means that if for some reason something goes wrong, we can roll back and you don't have to worry about that. And I'll do a video about system restore points later as well. So we're going to hit OK there. So now all of these things are going to be disabled. Now some of this will require a restart. I'm not going to go through that process at this point. And then the next thing that you can do is export your settings, and that's going to create a CFG or config file is what it's called. You don't need to worry about that. I would suggest creating it just so that it saves these settings. Right, so what this has done now is we have turned off basically all of the app collection data that Microsoft would otherwise have built in standard to the computer. If someone knew how to access that, right, and you had that system turned on and they had access to your computer, they could see all of that. It could be very potentially bad if they knew how to decipher it. So you really got to be careful with that kind of stuff. Um, and then you've got your lock screen stuff and other stuff that they recommend that you turn off isn't because it's collecting data. A lot of the other stuff they recommend that you turn off are background processes that eat up resources in your computer and make it run slower. Um, I will tell you personally, using this program, I actually use it on my personal machines. Um, Using this program it's just a nice convenience to have in it, and I have noticed a slight speed increase in some of the things because it just prevents Windows from opening certain stuff. You can leave the program open in the background, or you can close out of it. Please note settings may possibly revert to their previous status following updates. So every time you update, you're going to want to open this program again and then check and see what settings have changed. In fact, I had an update earlier today. Uh, I had to do the same thing. So some settings changed, require system restart. Now, I'm not going to do that right now, but as you can see, you would hit restart Windows right there, and then it would go ahead and restart. So that ends your basic video on installing Microsoft Windows with a clean install, and also uh, on how to install O&O Shut-up. This gets you your very basics into privacy settings on Windows. Now, there's other things that we'll talk about in some other videos. I'll go through control panel and some other power management features and also some network configuration stuff, but that's all for later. So I hope you all enjoyed the video, and please like and subscribe and leave comments below if there's content that you want tutorials on, or if there's videos that you would like me to do. Please leave a comment. I'd be happy to try and do that for you.